She told me her ride home was a coworker. Just a friend from work, she said. A woman who lived nearby, who liked the same podcasts, who didn't mind doing the detour. Nothing romantic, nothing weird, nothing to worry about. And I wanted to be the kind of man who believed his girlfriend when she looked him in the eye and said, "It's nothing." So I believed her. Every day. Until the night I watched the car stop in front of our building, and I saw her lean across the console like she wasn't going home to her boyfriend, like she was going home to him. Before we move on, take a moment to subscribe and like the video if you want more stories like this. I'm 30. My name is Ethan. I work in inventory management for a chain of medical supply warehouses. It's not glamorous, but it's consistent, and consistency used to be the thing I valued most. Because when you grew up in a house where money was tight and everything felt uncertain, you don't chase chaos later. You build stability. You build routines. You build a life that doesn't fall apart because someone had a bad week. That's what I thought I was doing with Natalie. Natalie was 27. She worked in marketing at a mid-sized company downtown. She had that polished confidence people develop when they know how to smile while thinking 3 steps ahead. When I met her, it felt like she brought color into my life. She was spontaneous in small ways. New restaurants, weekend trips, little surprises. She'd grab my hand in public and pull me into some store we didn't need to be in just because she wanted to look. She laughed easily. She posted pictures of us, tagged me, called me her person. And I believed her. We'd been together a little over 2 years when she moved into my place. It made sense. My apartment was bigger, closer to her job, and cheaper than her old 1-bedroom. We agreed on the split. I covered rent. She covered utilities. We split groceries. It wasn't perfectly equal, but it was fair enough for the life we were building. I was proud of it. Then her schedule changed. She got moved onto a new client team. Longer hours, more meetings, more urgent requests. At first, I didn't mind. I respected ambition. I respected her wanting to grow. So when she started coming home later, I adjusted. I made dinner and kept it warm. I stayed quiet when she was stressed. I told myself this was just a season. Then she stopped taking the bus. We didn't own 2 cars. I had my own, and she'd always used transit. It was one of those things she said she liked about the city. But suddenly, every evening, she was being dropped off. It wasn't every once in a while. It was almost daily. She'd text me around 5:45. On my way. Then around 6:10, I'd hear a car door shut outside. She'd walk in with that quick, cheerful energy people put on when they've been performing all day. "Hey, babe," she'd say, leaning in for a kiss, and I'd smell someone else's air on her. Not perfume, not cologne. Just, outside. Like she hadn't been alone. The first time I asked, I did it casually. "Who's dropping you off?" Natalie didn't even pause. "Oh, it's my friend Jenna," she said. "She's been driving since she got a new car. It's easier than the bus." Jenna. A safe name, a soft name, a name that sounded boring enough to be true. "Cool," I said, and that should have been the end of it. But it kept happening. And I realized something. She never talked about Jenna, not in the way women talk about friends. She never said, "Jenna is so funny." She never said, "Jenna's having a hard time." She never said, "Jenna wants to hang out this weekend." Jenna existed only as a ride, a function, a cover. And I didn't like that my girlfriend's story had a missing middle. One evening, while we were doing dishes, I asked again. "So Jenna lives near your office?" Natalie shrugged. "Sort of." "Where?" I asked. She gave me a look like I was making it weird. "Ethan, why are you interrogating me?" "Not interrogating," I said, keeping my tone steady. "Just asking." She sighed and wiped her hands on a towel. "She just works near me, okay? It's convenient. I don't want to stand at a bus stop after dark." That was fair. That was reasonable. That was the kind of explanation you can't argue with without sounding like a controlling boyfriend. So I dropped it. But my instincts didn't. Because I'm not jealous by nature. I'm not the kind of man who checks phones, demands passwords, or asks for updates every hour. I'm the kind of man who gives space. And I realized Natalie had started using that space like a hiding place. Little moments started piling up. Her phone face down more often, her smile at texts she didn't share, the way she'd walk into the bathroom to take a call, voice low like she didn't want me to hear. The way she'd be tired around me but energized in the afternoon, posting selfies from the office bathroom with captions like grind mode. And I started noticing the car. It wasn't the same as mine. It wasn't common either. A dark sedan with a small scratch near the rear wheel. I saw it often, parked down the street sometimes. I didn't connect it at first, because I didn't want to. Then came the lie that made everything feel heavier. One Saturday, we were at a friend's birthday barbecue. Just casual. People on a patio, music playing, drinks in plastic cups. Natalie was laughing and social, and I was standing near the cooler talking to a guy about football when someone asked how she was getting to work now. "Oh, she's got a ride," Natalie said quickly. "A friend drops me." That same safe line. Then another woman, someone from her job, tilted her head. "You mean Mark?" she asked. Natalie's smile tightened. "No," Natalie said too fast. "Not Mark, just Jenna." The woman shrugged like it wasn't important, but my attention snapped into place. Mark, a name Natalie hadn't mentioned, and for the first time, I felt the cold certainty of a puzzle piece clicking where it didn't belong. On the drive home, I asked lightly, "Who's Mark?" Natalie stared out the window. "Just someone from work," she said. But her voice was too flat, too quick. That was the thing with Natalie. When she lied, she didn't stumble. She went cold. It was like she'd practiced the line. I didn't push in the car. I waited until we got home. "Mark drops you off sometimes?" I asked. Natalie set her purse on the counter hard. "Ethan," she said, annoyed. "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "This," she snapped. "Acting like I'm cheating because I get a ride." I blinked. "I didn't say cheating." "You didn't have to," she said. "It's all over your face." My stomach tightened. She was already defensive, already building a wall. That's what people do when the truth is behind them. I took a slow breath. "You told me it's Jenna," I said. Then someone said, "Mark. Now you're acting like I'm crazy for noticing." Natalie crossed her arms. "Because you're making it a thing. It's not a thing. It's just rides." I nodded. "Okay," I said. She smirked like she'd won. "Good." And that should have been the end. But when someone lies, they don't stop lying. They just get better at hiding it. The next week, she started coming home a little later. She'd text me, running behind. Then she'd come in flustered, making little complaints about traffic. But the ride situation stayed the same. The car door outside, her keys in the lock, the cheerful voice. And I started noticing something else. She wasn't walking from the corner like someone who got dropped and said goodbye. She was walking from right in front of the building. Like the driver waited until she was inside before leaving. Like they were finishing something. One Tuesday, I got off work early. A rare thing. My supervisor let me leave because our shipment was done and there was nothing urgent. I didn't tell Natalie. I thought I'd surprise her. I stopped by a store, grabbed her favorite snacks, and drove home. It was about 6 p.m. I parked across the street from our building because my usual spot was taken. I sat for a second, checking my phone, and then I saw the dark sedan turn onto our street. That same scratch near the rear wheel. It slowed, pulled up to the curb right in front of our building. Natalie was in the passenger seat. My heart didn't race. It dropped. Heavy. Slow. Like my body knew before my mind accepted it. The car didn't stop and let her out. It idled. Natalie didn't open the door. She turned toward the driver, and the driver leaned closer. I couldn't see his full face at first, just a profile. a hand on the steering wheel. Then the streetlight hit him, and I recognized him instantly. Not Mark, not Jenna, not a coworker. It was her ex. His name was Caleb. I'd seen him once before, early in our relationship, when Natalie showed me an old photo while we were going through memories on her laptop. She'd laughed, pointing at him. "That's my ex. Total mess. Never again." She'd said his life didn't matter to her. She'd said they hadn't spoken in years. But there he was, in front of our building, dropping her off like he belonged there. And then I watched Natalie do the thing that burned the last thread of trust cleanly in half. She reached across the console. Her hand touched his jaw. Caleb smiled like he already owned the ending. Then she kissed him. Not a quick peck, not a goodbye kiss. A real kiss, the kind that has history in it, the kind that doesn't happen by accident. Then she pulled back and hugged him across the console, arms wrapped tight, forehead pressed against his, like she was trying to absorb him, like she didn't want to let go. I sat in my car across the street, completely still. My hands were on the steering wheel, my fingers didn't move, because nothing in me wanted to storm over there and make a scene. Not because I wasn't hurt, because I wasn't interested in begging a woman to choose me. The door opened. Natalie stepped out, smoothed her hair, checked her reflection in her phone screen. Then she walked toward the building like she was coming home to dinner. Like she didn't just kiss another man in the driveway of our life. I watched her disappear inside. Then the sedan drove away slowly, like it had nowhere to be. I waited 30 seconds. Then I got out of my car and walked inside too. Natalie was in the kitchen, already taking off her shoes. "Hey, babe," she called, sounding relaxed. "You're home early." I looked at her. She smiled. The smile she wore when she thought her lies were working. And in that moment, I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity. I set the bag of snacks on the counter. Natalie glanced at them. "Ah, that's sweet." I didn't respond. She noticed my face. "What's wrong?" I held her gaze. "How was Jenna?" I asked quietly. Natalie blinked. "What? How was Jenna?" I repeated, calm. "Your friend. The one who drives you every day." Natalie's expression tightened. "Ethan, I don't have energy for this." I nodded slowly. Then I said the sentence that made her face drain. "How was Caleb?" For a split second, the world stopped. Her mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes went wide, not with guilt, but with panic. Like she'd been caught in the exact moment she thought was safe. You're insane," she whispered. "He's not—" "Don't," I said softly. She swallowed. "It's not what you think." I stared at her. "I watched you kiss him in the car outside our building," I said. Natalie's face went white. She stepped closer, voice rushing. "Ethan, please, okay, please. It's complicated. He's been having a hard time. He just needed—" She kept talking, but I stopped hearing the words, because the truth was already complete. She'd lied. Every day. She'd looked me in the eye, eaten food I cooked, slept next to me, and then got into her ex's car and acted like our relationship was just a pause between their moments. I held up a hand. "Stop." Natalie froze. I took a breath. "You're leaving tonight," I said. Her eyes filled with tears instantly. No, Ethan, please. Please don't do this. I love you." I nodded slowly. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have needed a cover story," I said. She cried harder. "It was a mistake." "It wasn't a mistake," I said. "It was a routine." She reached for my arm. I stepped back. I walked into the bedroom. Natalie followed, sobbing. "Where are you going?" she begged. I opened the closet and grabbed a suitcase. "Packing your things?" I said. Her voice went sharp through the crying. "You can't just throw me out." I turned to her. "Watch me." For the next hour, I moved like a machine. Clothes into the suitcase, shoes into a bag, makeup into a box. Her charger, her laptop, her perfume, her jewelry tray. Not because I wanted to be dramatic, because I wanted her gone. Cleanly, completely. I carried everything to the living room. Natalie was sitting on the edge of the couch, face in her hands, sobbing. I didn't comfort her. Comfort was what kept me stuck in situations longer than I should have been. I pulled out my phone and opened a ride app. Her head snapped up. "What are you doing?" "I'm ordering you a ride," I said. Natalie shook her head frantically. "Number one, I can stay with my friend." I nodded. "Call Caleb then." The words landed like a punch. She flinched. I didn't say anything else. I just waited. The driver arrived in 7 minutes. Natalie stood in the doorway holding a bag like she was leaving for a weekend trip. She looked at me like she expected one last speech, one last chance, one last weakness. "Ethan," she whispered. "Please, I'll fix it." I looked at her calmly. "No," I said. "You already fixed it. You fixed it so I'd never trust you again." Her lips trembled. She stepped toward me. I stepped back. The ride driver honked softly. Natalie turned, walked out, and the door closed behind her. The apartment went quiet. I stood in the silence and felt something I didn't expect. Relief. Not because I wasn't hurt. Because I wasn't lying to myself anymore. That night she called 20 times. Then texts. Then apologies. Then anger. Then the classic line. "I didn't think you'd react like this." And that's when I understood the last insult in it. She didn't just lie. She gambled on the idea that I'd stay anyway. 2 weeks later, I ran into her coworker at a coffee shop. She saw me and hesitated, then walked over. "Ethan," she said quietly. "I'm sorry," I raised an eyebrow. "For what?" She looked down. "We all knew," she admitted, "about Caleb picking her up. She told everyone you didn't care. She said you were cool with it." My stomach tightened. So she wasn't just lying to me, she was rewriting me to other people. I nodded once. "Thanks for telling me." The coworker hesitated. "She didn't come into work today," she added. "She got into a fight with Caleb and was crying in the parking lot." I didn't ask questions. I didn't care. Because by then, it wasn't my job to manage her chaos anymore. I went home. I cooked dinner. I ate in peace. And I slept in my bed alone for the first time in months without feeling like I was sharing my life with someone who was secretly living another one. And the strangest part was how fast the noise disappeared once she was gone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button for more.